بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
ويعبدون من دون الله ما لا يملك لهم رزقا من السماوات والأرض شيئا ولا يستطيعون فلا تضربوا لله الأمثال إن الله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون.
Focus on this ayah. وَيَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَمْلِكُ لَهُمْ رِزْقًا مِنَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ. Give me your full attention. They worship others besides Allah, who do not and cannot and absolutely cannot have any provision or control over provision from the heaven and the earth. In Arabic, if you were to remove the two words in this ayah, rizq and shay'a, remove rizq, provision, and shay'a, anything, the meaning stays good. So why these two extra words? We said the Quran is delicate. These words are there for a purpose. So what's the meaning? To add affirmation that the only one who can provide rizq is Allah. النكرة في سياق الإثبات تفيد الإطلاق. Rule of usul. Focus. Both these words in the ayah, rizq and shay'a, are indefinite nouns. Ism nakira. Rizq and shay'a, those two words I said that are extra, are indefinite nouns. The rule in usul is the indefinite noun, ism nakira, in the context of a general sentence denoting, affirming, declaring, establishing, indicates absolute, unconstrained, unconditional, unrestricted matter. النكرة في سياق الإثبات تفيد الإطلاق. Pay attention, I'm going to explain it more. These rules are complex as it is, and it only gets harder when you explain them in English. So you gotta give me double the attention you regularly give me. If you have a sentence affirming something, declaring, establishing, then there's a nakira, indefinite noun, that means it's absolute. That indicates it's absolute, unconstrained, unrestricted. Adding a nakira that's otherwise not essential gives it basically exaggerated, absolute, unconstrained, unrestricted meaning. That's the point right there. Meaning, here comes the meaning. Those who they worship other than Allah have absolutely not a tiny bit of control over rizq. Let's take the first indefinite noun to shed more light at what I'm trying to talk about. He added to their nothingness, they already had nothing, he added to their nothingness shay'a, the word any. Okay, ya Allah, you told us they don't have anything, no control over provision. So why did you add shay'a? They have nothing. So why did you add anything to nothing? If I say to any of you, what's your paycheck this week? Your paycheck after everything clear is $201.05. Would any of you tell me, if I say, what's your paycheck? You're going to say $201.05? You're going to say $200. We're not sitting here doing your income tax, so you're going to say $200. You round it off because 105 is so little, so minute, so insignificant that you don't even count it. A second example to get this rule that I'm talking about, because you understand them more with examples. If I say to you, what time is it now? 1:59. Okay. Does anyone tell me 1:59? Everyone's going to round it off and say it's 2 o'clock. A third example. Someone has no wealth. May have a little bit of wealth. Do you tell me, what do you tell me if I ask you about his financial situation? He has nothing. The common terminology. He has nothing. There is something, but it's so little, so minute, so tiny, so insignificant that you consider it nothing. It's rounded off. It's a fraction that's rounded off. That is why the indefinite noun shay'a was added. Allah wants you to have the pure tawheed in Razak, and he wanted to eliminate any tiny doubt that anyone other than Allah has any provision. There's not even the super slight change, there's not even the super slight chance that one may have any tiny significant control or rule over rizq other than Allah. Shay'a, anything. That's why the indefinite noun was added. So the verse is saying they worship those who have absolutely no control over rizq. Absolutely. Not even those tiny fractions that may be considered by some. Those the mushrikeen worship, they don't have any tiny rounded off fraction of control or rule over rizq. The conclusion, why so much emphasis? Why? This is to erase the possibility that we may have any thought or doubt that anyone has any little crumb or power in control over rizq to affirm, to fulfill your heart with full and pure tawheed to Razak. Two nakira, come to affirm this. Two, not one. Shay'an was one. Shay'an one. The same thing we mentioned about shay'a, rizqa two. They were added to eliminate the thought that there may be that tiny fraction that people neglect, that round off, like the 105, the 1 minute, one having a little bit of provision, and then you say he has nothing. To eliminate even that possible tiny thing, that there isn't even a rounded off figure in the matter. They have absolutely no control over rizq. Okay. We got the general wording of the verse that those mushrikeen worship those who have no rule or control over rizq. That's the general wording. It already tells it all. To top it off, we have two nakira, shay'an and rizqa, to add emphasis to show not a crumb of power or a rounded off fraction of power do they have over rizq. We're not done there. Allah wants pure tawheed. The third thing in the matter, the end of it, وَلَا يَسْتَطِعُونَ. The verse at the end says, and they cannot. They're unable to. Sometimes you may have power to do something, but the opportunity is not there. Allah wanted to eliminate that thought too. Belief in Ar-Razak is no joke. It's firm. It's deep. وَلَا يَسْتَطِعُونَ. وَلَا يَسْتَطِعُونَ. They don't have the power and they don't have the ability to rule over rizq. No power and no ability. Once you affirm absolute tawheed in Ar-Razak, you live at peace and at ease. You live at peace and at ease. You live at peace and at ease knowing it's among the biggest sources for today's anxiety disorders and depression and stress and traumatic stress. And it's when you know it's from Allah, you live at ease and peace, you live in the hands of Allah, you live a stress-free life. Keep your heart with Allah. If you're rejected from a university or a job, don't even feel down or sad. Take it with a smile and walk away. Your interview goes back, it wasn't meant by Allah because it's in the sky. The creation, that creation that you see in a suit and a tie before you, conducting the interview, he couldn't raise his finger nor move his lips or utter a word except what Allah wanted him to do. You're going to the interview because Allah wants you to go with the means, to seek the means. But before, during, and after, your heart must be in complete attachment with Allah. Your heart got to be in another world. Allahu yahulu bayna al-mar'i wa qalbi. Allah comes between that person you think is a boss interviewing you. Allah comes between him and his heart. Allah can make him utter that which he wants. Yahulu bayna al-mar'i wa qalbi. Affan ibn Muslim as-Saffar was Sheikh for Bukhari. In the fitna of Khalq al-Quran, Affan was a alim. And they were scanning, they started by the ulama, scanning the ulama, interrogating them, pertaining to the matter of the creation of the Quran. They got to Affan's house. The governor wanted to interrogate him. The interrogator told Affan, I got orders from the wali that I need to ask you these questions. Is the Quran the word of Allah or creation? We know what Ahl Sunnah position is and what they back then used to spread. Affan said, Qul huwallahu ahad, is that created? So he basically began to explain. He's an alim, he wants to start talking and explaining to the man. The interrogator said, look Affan, I'm not here to debate. I got these questions to ask you, I got to write the answer. And let me advise you, when they take you to prison, then you can explain away over there. And he also said, let me advise you more. If you say it's the creation of Allah, you get higher. From my experience, he's telling them, the people who said that, they get higher rank, their salary goes up, they be at peace and ease. Those who don't say it was created, from my experience, this is the interrogator telling them, they start off by taking your salary, then your family, and you get hungry, and it only gets worse after that. Affan said, the Quran is the word of Allah. It's not created. Kalamullah. The interrogator said, you know where this statement's going to take you? He told him the verse that we mentioned, the first one I mentioned, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. Tawheed kicks in at these times. That's how you know if you have proper Tawheed. The Tawheed melted into Iman and Ihsan. The interrogator wrote the report and they cut his salary. After midnight, Affan wakes up to a knock at the door. Someone's knocking very hard at the door. He found it's an older man, a zayyat. A zayyat is an oil salesman. His clothes are dirty. You know how oil salesmen, oil, because they worked with oil all over them. It's a low look down upon job. But this oil man took it upon himself to care for the causes of this ummah. He said, who are you? The zayyat is asking him, who are you? He said, Affan ibn Muslim. He said, you're the man the government cut his salary for speaking the truth earlier today? He said, yes. He possibly heard it in the community, in the market, in the masjid. He said, here's a surah, here's a money pouch with 1,000 dinar. And every month, this time, I'm going to bring you a similar bag until Allah provides you a way out. That was actually more than the government was paying Affan ibn Muslim. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. Today the ummah may no longer have a salesman with jealousy like that man did, like that oil salesman did. But the provider who sent that salesman, that oil salesman, will send you different means. Because the provider, Razak, is there. Let me conclude, because the time is running out, with this story for the sisters who follow us, especially through the internet, whose husbands are in prisons. Or single mothers as well. And actually for all of us. There's a contemporary man in Egypt, went to prison. Very poor as is. So when he went to prison, his wife has 2 kids. She had to move with her parents. It's the same thing repeated all over and over. Those whose family members went to prison, they'll tell you the same story. One day, her son got sick. Got very high fever. No transportation. She's in her parents' house now. No transportation. And even if there was transportation, there's no money to pay the doctors. So she turned to Allah all night long. 1 minute dua in salah, 2 rak'ahs, in deep agony, in pain, in sujood, in dua. Then she would tend to her baby, changing the bathing towels on his head and body. And as you know, only mothers can talk about what they feel when their children are ill. May Allah grant my mother and all your mothers Firdaus al-A'la for the suffering they suffered for us. Then she would go and soak the bathing towel in cold water and place them all over her son, his forehead and his body, and take a break in salah. 2 rak'ahs. Deep, dark, lonely, long night. Cries and shouts of desperation to Allah. And that's when the dua is most likely to get answered. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ, the one who responds to the distress when he calls on to him. Late at night, the knocking comes at her door. She put on her hijab, she opened the door. It's a doctor, a doctor's suit, white robe. This is a contemporary story. The doctor answered the door, but he in reality answered the order of Allah. The doctor at her door, she was astonished, has no means. She doesn't know what's going on, and limited her communication with men. She watched as the doctor diagnosed the baby, wrote the prescription, gave her words of comfort. Then he told her the bill is so-and-so. He handed her the bill. Here's the bill. And you pay for house calls, you pay right on the spot. It's well known back then, and it's still known. In Arabic countries, I remember, till recently, that the doctor comes to pay him on the spot. She said, what? I have no money. He said, where's your husband who called me? She said, my husband's in prison. He didn't call you. My husband's been in prison for some time. He said, you make a late call at night and you have no husband to pay for me? He said, isn't this apartment 18? She said, no, the apartment 18 is right down the hall. That's next door. So the doctor was astonished at how he came here, and there really was someone sick. He said, subhanallah, what's your situation, lady? Tell me what it is. She told him her story. She began to cry as she was telling her story. And he began to cry. He said, Wallahi, it was Allah who took me out of my bed to come to see your son. Give me that prescription back. Let me get the medicine from my car, and here's some money for you. And every week or so, I'll come and check up on you. Not only that, he continued to check up on her and give her from the charity that Allah gave him. The woman began to tease her husband who was in prison. She said, you might want to stay longer in prison because Allah, the Razak, is taking care of us more than you did when you were here.